Live.
Rajat, how's life, buddy?
Good. How are things with you?
I'm well. It's been a productive week. Yeah, looking forward to the weekend. You got any big plans?
Just hockey, man.
Just hockey.
I play hockey. I play hockey every weekend.
Cool. Are you good?
Good, man. How are you?
Are you good at hockey?
Oh, I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm all right. I score here and there.
The 20 million Bitcoin is about to be mined.
Yes,
How did that make you feel?
it's crazy. There's only going to be 1 million new coins left to be mined over the next 110 years, 115 years. Just
That's
that
wild.
alone. There's so many people out there who don't even know what Bitcoin is yet. They have no idea what it is. They have no idea where it's going, and they haven't even thought about it. And they're going to be competing for that last million, or they're going to have to convince people to sell what they have before that so that they can own some. And they're going to have to pump the price up like crazy. Most people don't want to sell at these prices.
Crazy. What a time to be alive. We got 1 million left coming to life, and oh my goodness. And demand is What's your thoughts about what's going on? I mean, Bitcoin prices pulled back a bit. I saw your post yesterday. You talked about how Bitcoin is on a 40% discount. I think that's a nice reframing. But what are you hearing? What are you seeing out there? What's getting you excited about Bitcoin?
Honestly, there's so much going on right now. I think there's a lot of people. I was watching this guy. His name is Checkmatey on YouTube. I
Mm-hmm.
think there's a lot of long term holders who are selling right now, and that's probably what's really driving this market, I guess.
Hmm.
There's a lot of people who have held for a long time who are giving away their Bitcoin. Maybe they don't want to hold anymore. Maybe they just want to. They're changing into a different time in their life. I think a lot of what he said was that a lot of the people who own Bitcoin are millennials. So millennials are in the most expensive phase of their life. So they're selling Bitcoin, or they need to find ways to fund a house. Let's say they need to find ways to pay for kids. They're buying cars. They're making all these. They have all these expenses, and they're selling their Bitcoin because of this. And I think it's a natural progression in the market. The price comes up, it goes down, it goes up, goes down. I mean, to be honest, I hadn't expected it to go this low, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. Cheap sats are always a good opportunity.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. There's been a ton of news breaking in the last week or two as well. I don't know if you've been following some of that, but when people claim that Bitcoin is dead once again, like what's your initial kind of gut reaction? It's like, oh, here we go again, the
Oh man,
10,000th time.
I actually made a video about it yesterday. If you guys want to watch it, go find it. It's the title is "Did Bitcoin just die again?" or "Bitcoin is dead again?" Something
Mhm.
along those lines. But people will keep saying that, right? People will keep saying that Bitcoin is dead. People will keep saying that. There's actually a website that's fully dedicated to it, and I let me share my screen here. That's the website that I referred to the in the video that I made. So can you just share my screen there? Oh, there you go. Okay, so
What's
this
up?
website basically shows you every time there was an article saying that Bitcoin is dead. So you can see there was one that 11 cents. The underground economist. So it says negative feedback loops like this are basically a homeostasis. In nature, positive feedback loops like exist with Bitcoin are lethal. I guess they didn't type it properly, but they're basically saying that Bitcoin is dead. And then same thing here at $23. Why Bitcoin will fail as a currency. Then another one at $2.33. The rise and fall of Bitcoin. It keeps going, but I think that there's more of a concentration of these articles when Bitcoin is going down. So you can see here, there's a ton of them on the way down
Hmm.
here. There's so many of them on the way down here, and this is the fear, right? So take a look at that huge gap. Why are there no articles here? It's because Bitcoin went up. And people don't want to make articles when people don't want to create negative content about Bitcoin while it's going up. They want to create content about Bitcoin when it's going down because they want everybody to know that, oh, I was right. I was right. And there's a lot of people who are really, really excited right now. So, for example, Peter Schiff said that, where is it? There was a post from Peter Schiff where he said that Bitcoin is going to zero. So, you go to timeline. Let's see here. Oh, here you go. The 126K all-time high may have been the final all-time high. And keep in mind that a lot of people, this to us this seems like, oh, this guy's an idiot, right? But to Peter Schiff, he feels like he's right every single time this happens. Every time Bitcoin's price goes up, he always thinks like, oh, yeah, this is where it's going. It's never going to come back to this. It's going to come down. It's going to die. It's going to do this. It's going to do that. He's always talking about how it's going to fail. And people might hear it and they may think, yeah, he's right. He's an older guy. He knows what he's talking about. He's definitely done the research. But if somebody were to ask him, what is the difficulty adjustment? He wouldn't be able to explain it. He would have no idea because he doesn't really know what Bitcoin is. He doesn't understand what Bitcoin is. His idea of how money should work is, in my opinion, completely wrong. He thinks that it should be gold that's tokenized, but the difference is that gold is physical and somebody actually has to hold that gold that's tokenized. Whereas with Bitcoin is actually digital. It's digital, it's native to the internet. It lives on the internet. It's born on the internet. So the people who want a gold backed token don't realize that we're going right back into fiat currencies. That's exactly what the US dollar used to be. Whereas Bitcoin is native to the internet. You don't have to tokenize it. Nobody has to hold it. You don't have to trust anybody to hold it for you. You can hold it yourself. That's the power here. That's the power of Bitcoin, the self custody, right? And people see articles like that from Peter Schiff. He said on the article, or he said on the post, despite unprecedented support from the media, Wall Street, and government, Bitcoin is trading below the 69K all-time high. It first hit in November of 2021. At no point in its 16-year history did Bitcoin ever trade below a prior all-time high 4 years later. The 126K all-time high may have been the final all-time high. And see, that's what shows you. Like this guy I think he's more focused on seeming right, making his audience think that he's going to be right or he is right, than he is on the truth.
Hey, Regid, I mean, you've got like a massive following, and I've seen you've done a lot of videos on mining. I'm just curious, how do you describe the process of Bitcoin mining to, a person getting into Bitcoin for the first time?
I would say that it's more like it's almost like a lottery ticket, but that lottery ticket is securing the network.
Mm.
Right? Because what you're doing is you're trying to find a specific SHA-256 input that generates the right output based on the specifications of the network. So if you can meet the specifications and you're just basically doing a guess and check, you're entering random numbers into like I said, a SHA-256 calculator or generator. I don't know how they do it on the ASICs, but the way that you would do it, like if you were to do it physically, you'd enter random numbers into it and you'd see if the output that you get match the requirements of the network. And over time, it just gets more and more difficult. So the way that I see it, mining is security for the network, and the people who are mining the ASICs are basically contractors.
Interesting. And then how do you
Wait, how would you describe it?
Oh, I kind of lean on analogies. I just find if I start talking about SHA-256 and things like that, most people, I'd lose them. My favorite analogy is I equate it to gold mining. So I say, hey, in gold mining, you've got a mountain, and to get the gold out of the mountain, you need axes and picks. In the case of Bitcoin, we've got the mountain, if you will, is equivalent to mathematical puzzles that are very complex that need to be solved. And instead of axes and picks, we've got supercomputers or miners that solve puzzles. Yeah. I don't know. I find that tends to land for a lot of people. And Yeah, yeah.
What if people were to ask you that Bitcoin is digital versus gold is physical, right? Like what how would you say how would you respond to that? Because people actually say that, right? People say, "Oh, um, but it's not like gold mining because gold is physical. Like you have to actually go into the earth."
Well, that's why it's an analogy, right? So it's
Right,
not,
right, right.
I'm not
No,
saying,
but what I'm
that's why I
saying,
said the rock
I
is
agree
like
with
the
you.
math puzzle, yeah.
Right,
I
right.
just in general, people saying that, well, it's like the whole
So
it's not
what
backed
would
by
you say?
anything. Gold is
Not
at
back,
least
yeah.
physical, right?
Yeah.
Um, I don't when I look at the properties of money, I don't think that being physical is one of them. Being
Yeah.
limited is one of them, being scarce, but not necessarily being physical. So
Yeah.
the money in your bank account, that's not physical, but does that mean it doesn't carry value? It does, right? So
Yeah.
I'm kind of come at it from that perspective. Maybe I lean too hard on analogies, but that's how my brain works, and I just find it's easier to, make it click for people. 20 millionth Bitcoin, dude. That's insane, no? Like there's only 21 million ever to exist, ever in the history, like in all of the future that we have left, yet only 1 million left. What happens after that 1 million? And by the way, that 1 million doesn't really get mined till about 2140, right? It's not like 2026 we're going to be mining a million Bitcoin. It's literally spread out since now till about 100, 120 years from now. But how do you, I don't know, like, how does that make you feel? As in, there aren't that many Bitcoin left, right? They're all out there in circulation. Um, so what is one left to do? I mean, you got Michael Saylor gobbling up Bitcoin like a madman. You've got, nation states now eyeing Bitcoin as if though it's like the next gold. I don't know. I can't help but feel like Bitcoin is just starting to coil up like a snake, and it's about to do some serious damage. But I don't know. I don't know. No one knows the future.
Yeah. I mean, keep in mind that with so I was looking at STRC yesterday. MicroStrategy was able to buy something like 1,500 Bitcoin just yesterday with
Wow.
STRC. I thought that was insane. So if that's what's happening during a bear market when people are expecting, keep in mind STRC is a bet that Bitcoin will do well and that MicroStrategy will be able to keep stripping that volatility off Bitcoin and giving a fixed income to people who own STRC. So the main thing here is that STRC is basically a bet that Bitcoin will continue to survive. So
Mhm.
Bitcoin is in a bear market and it's down almost 50% from the top. But at the same time, STRC is trading at par. It's because strategy has a lever, and that's the interest rates. They can change the interest rates whenever they want to. They can increase interest rates if the price of STRC is too low, and they can keep increasing interest rates whenever they want to, and they can keep just getting more and more capital coming into Bitcoin, coming into strategy, so they can buy more Bitcoin forever. And it's the only product that does what it does. It's the only true digital credit that we have in the world right now. So I think that that alone is fascinating to me. Like that's going to change a lot about Bitcoin. I think that's going to. I think there's a guy who's saying in the comments, banks hate Bitcoin. Um, Bitcoin because screw banks. Banks can't have Bitcoiners making more wealth than they can offer. Exactly. That's exactly what it is. And I think that what banks are doing, so just to feed off of what these guys are saying, I think that what banks are trying to do is, I personally think that the price of Bitcoin should be much higher. I think that banks are taking short positions through the futures market to bring Bitcoin's price lower. And part of that is because this might be a complete conspiracy theory. There's no evidence backing this. I'm just talking. Don't use this in a conversation with like some hedge fund manager like, "Oh, yeah, you should go long Bitcoin because it's going to go up in this time. All these banks are going to go." That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that banks want strategy to fail because strategy is creating a product that's competing with the banking system. STRC is competition for the banking system because STRC is giving 11.25% interest while banks are giving like 0.1% interest. So to banks, STRC and MicroStrategy are competition, and the banks want strategy to fail. They want Strategy to have to sell its Bitcoin. They want to liquidate Strategy. They want the Bitcoin, and then they want to offer their own digital credit backed products. They want to offer their own digital credit instruments, right? And I think that right now the price is below 100K for a little while. I think that's going to be temporary. If Strategy keeps buying Bitcoin the way that it's buying, if it bought 1,000 Bitcoin yesterday when Bitcoin was at 65K, how much Bitcoin will it be buying every single day when Bitcoin is at 100K? Keep in mind that while Bitcoin goes up, the demand for STRC will also go up because people will be more, they'll believe in MicroStrategy's future more as Bitcoin's price goes up. So as they believe in MicroStrategy's future, they're going to want more STRC. And as they buy STRC, it gives Strategy more ammunition to buy more Bitcoin. So think about it. At some point, if the price remains at these levels, I think at some point, but Strategy is going to be buying 10,000 Bitcoin a day, 15, 20,000 Bitcoin a day. I don't see why they wouldn't be able to if they keep scaling up on STRC the way that they are right now. Over time, the best thing you can do, though, I'm not telling you to buy STRC. Exactly what P Pistol '09 said there. Make sure you have cold storage. Make sure you have Bitcoin. You don't need to buy STRC. Let the market buy it. Let the market give Strategy their capital so that that capital can be put into Bitcoin. All you need to do though is buy Bitcoin. Like the person watching here, buy Bitcoin because you'll benefit from Strategy. You'll benefit from STRC. You'll benefit from all of these things happening in the background, and your purchasing power is going to go up because demand for Bitcoin is going to increase.
Rajat, you're a Bitcoin maxi, would you say?
I don't. Everything else is a
Don't even.
shitcoin. Even the dollar is a
Yeah.
shitcoin.
So, so amongst Bitcoin maxis, there are two topics that are a bit potentially, offside. One is MicroStrategy, right? I mean, there's a lot of hardcore Bitcoiners that do frown upon Michael Saylor. And then the other one is lending. I've also noticed that you have taken to it, you talk about it. But we just went from an all-time high of 160 now to 60K, right? I don't think anybody would have
Yeah.
guessed, including yourself, that we could be hitting these kind of lows. In the past, we've seen 80% drawdowns. Those are recipes for like liquidation. And again, I'm as you know, I was the president of Matador. Michael Saylor follows me on Twitter. I'm a huge fanboy. But I'm just trying to play a bit of devil's advocate here and just see where you stand on these two topics when you try to reconcile it with the Bitcoin maxi position. And again, I'm probably way more on your side than the other, but just curious how you kind of talk through that or think through that.
I mean, why would I, as a Bitcoin maximalist, want somebody else not to buy Bitcoin?
Right. Okay, we always want other people to buy Bitcoin.
So Strategy is buying Bitcoin. Why would I have an issue with that? I don't see why any Bitcoin maximalist would have an issue. I get it. People are saying, oh, if they buy all the Bitcoin, then people aren't going to have it. Like the average person is not going to be able to buy. But why is that Strategy's problem? If the average person doesn't want to focus on Bitcoin, they want to focus on just all this other. Like if you go through Twitter, if you scroll through Twitter, if you scroll through YouTube Shorts, you're always going to see people complaining that the financial system is designed, it's rigged against us. It's rigged against us. All these people could be looking for a solution, right? But on my videos, on my content, I get tons of hate from people when I tell them, "Hey, Bitcoin is the exit. It's the exit plan." I get tons of hate from people. Why? It's because they don't care. They don't want a solution. So because the average person doesn't want a solution, why would I be hating on Strategy for buying the solution? The only reason why Strategy can buy this much Bitcoin is because the average person doesn't care, right? And if we're just to be honest here, I think the average person will care when Bitcoin goes to $1 million. They'll care more when it goes to $10 million. They'll care more when it goes to $100 million. They don't care right now because they don't see the benefit of owning this thing that they don't understand. They haven't put in the time to understand it. Strategy has. So, like I said, why would I be against a company buying as much Bitcoin as they can and strengthening their balance sheet and creating digital property backed credit? I'm not hating on that. I actually like that because they're putting a use case on Bitcoin. Bitcoin is credit, and then the next question that you asked, lending on Bitcoin.
Before we move on to lending, though,
Yeah, yeah.
has your view evolved in the because I mean I could have swore like a year or two ago I didn't feel you were as bullish about MicroStrategy, or
Yeah.
maybe I'm mistaken. But like, would you say your views evolved, or would you say it's kind of stayed the same over the last year or two? Like, how is it? Yeah, it changed over time.
Well, keep in mind that strategy a year or two ago was generating. They were mostly generating Bitcoin by borrowing money using debt that maybe they could have been liquidated with, and then they were selling their shares. Now
Hmm.
they're just completely changing the game. Like this
Hmm.
is innovation at the level of iPhone, right? Like the way that
Like
the
that.
iPhone, think about it. The iPhone
Hmm.
changed the entire phone world. That
Hmm.
was like the first smartphone that people actually wanted to use, and they wanted to keep it. They added a touch screen to like the iPhone, the iPod Touch, and all that stuff. They revolutionized the game, and that's essentially what strategy is doing with the financial system, right? The financial system right now is just it's it's garbage, right? It's built on a foundation of shit. I know that's mean, but it's true because the U.S. dollar is a shit coin. So what strategy is doing is they're building a new financial system that's backed with Bitcoin. It's built on Bitcoin. Right now, like think about it. All the people who are borrowing money from banks, they're getting low interest rate loans and they're buying real estate with it. Why is that? It's because real estate is relatively finite compared to fiat. But they're not going to borrow Bitcoin to buy real estate because Bitcoin appreciates faster than real estate. Right. So what strategy is doing here is they're completely changing the game. They're completely changing how the financial system works. Currently, banks are giving a 0.1% interest rate. Strategy is giving 11.25%, and he's putting the capital into Bitcoin. And he gave an explanation. Saylor gave an explanation on what exactly he's trying to do. He basically said the current financial system is trying to screw over the savers. They give them such a low interest rate. They know that the people who are saving are going to get screwed over and they're okay with it. The current financial system is just trying to extract as much value from people as possible. Whereas with STRC, with STRK, STRF, STRD, and again, I'm not telling people to buy it. I'm not telling people to buy all uh, these securities. I'm just saying keep buying Bitcoin. But what strategy is doing with all these products is they're offering an appropriate interest rate. They're basically just like think about it with the iPhone. Before the iPhone, we had to how difficult was texting? You had Blackberries, but the screen was so small. With the iPhone now, you had that massive screen, so you have so much more real estate to do what you want to, and it was a product that people wanted and they hadn't even realized. Right? That's exactly what STRC is. If if strategy is creating a product like that, that's a perfect product market fit, and the market is telling us that because the market cap of STRC keeps growing. Why would I be against that?
And then before we go to the lending question, there's also been this insinuation that that MicroStrategy is almost like another mining element. Like they're not mining Bitcoin, but the fact that mining reduces and the number of Bitcoin that come into existence, et cetera, that because of MicroStrategy's bullish behavior, because of their regular purchases of Bitcoin, it's almost like another compounding variable that's removing supply from the world,
Yeah,
therefore having pressure on the price going up. But do you also kind of see that, or do you believe that? I mean, that's essentially what's happening, no?
yeah, they're just taking all the Bitcoin out of the market, every excess Bitcoin that they can. Why? I think that's great. I think that's huge.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
taking all this excess supply out of the market. I mean, I would personally, I want cheap Sats. I want to buy cheap Bitcoin, and so do they. But people, it seems like a lot of people don't really care about cheap Bitcoin, and I think that when the price goes up because of strategy, when the price goes up, people are going to get more interested and they're going to want it. So I think I think strategies. What strategy is doing is it's a double edged sword, right? They're taking supply out of the market, but at the same
Mm,
time, at some point, they're going to bring way more capital into Bitcoin because people are going to want to own it, and then even
mm.
just their credit products that they have. I think it works. I think it's perfect for getting people to bring their money into Bitcoin. Think about how many people are going to sell their bonds to buy Bitcoin now. They're not going to directly buy Bitcoin. They're going to buy STRC because STRC gives them a higher interest rate. but all of that money from bonds goes into Bitcoin indirectly. That's huge.
That makes sense. Okay, so talk about the debt thing, taking loans against your Bitcoin. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, there is a risk there, right? But
Oh,
how do you
100%.
again, yeah, how do you
Always a
walk that
risk.
line?
Oh, so
Mm,
I actually have a document here. Can you share my screen?
yeah.
So let's say, for example, I have this calculator. You can actually go into the link in the description. You can get it. It's a compound interest calculator. So let's say, for example, if you have one Bitcoin as collateral, that Bitcoin is worth $68,000. And let's say you need a $30,000 loan. What you can do is you can give that one Bitcoin as collateral. Keep in mind that there are a lot of risks to doing this. I've mentioned this before, and I regularly mention this. Let's say the lender goes bankrupt. Your government confiscates your Bitcoin. You don't have self custody of that Bitcoin. They can be taken away from you. But let's say you have one Bitcoin as collateral. You take a $30,000 loan. What would have to happen is Bitcoin's price would have to fall to $37,500 for you to get liquidated. So from right now, from 68,000 to today, the price would have to fall about 30 to about 37,500 for you to get liquidated, which is I don't know if it'll go that low. But keep in mind that when you take on a loan against your Bitcoin, you want to be able to add more collateral at any time, right? So let's say, for example, if Bitcoin's price does go to 37,500, let's say it goes to, let's say that $30,000 loan, let's say it goes to 37,500, you want to be able to add more Bitcoin so that you can lower your LTV. Your LTV is your Bitcoin loan divided by your Bitcoin collateral. So the loan is 30,000, the collateral is 37,500 because Bitcoin's price has fallen to 37,500. So your LTV goes to 80%. What your lender will do is if it hits 80%, or with some lenders it's at 90%, with some it's at 70%, if it hits that number, they're immediately going to sell all of your Bitcoin. They're going to sell 80% of your Bitcoin, pay off your loan, and then they're going to give you the rest of that Bitcoin. So they'll sell $30,000 worth of Bitcoin. They'll leave you with zero point 0.2 Bitcoin because that's 20%, and then you get that zero point 0.2, but your loan is paid off. Your goal is to make sure you avoid that. So your goal is to make sure that you keep your LTV below 80%. So if you can, let's say, for example, you have one Bitcoin, you took on a $30,000 loan, Bitcoin's price goes down to, let's say it goes down to, what is it, 33,000. Let's say it goes to 33,000. Oh, no, not 33,000. Let's go 42,000. So it goes to 42,000. Your LTV is at 71.4%. You get a margin call. Your lender tells you, okay, your Bitcoin's about to get liquidated. What you can do is you can add more collateral. So let's say you go from one Bitcoin to 1.5. Now your LTV is back down to 47%, and Bitcoin's price has to fall to 25,000 for you to get liquidated. So of course, there are, I had like a full training that explains this. I have a couple of links on my channel. You can find it somewhere. But what you have to do is you have to make sure that you don't get screwed over. Like your goal is to make sure that your Bitcoin doesn't get liquidated, right? And you can do that in multiple ways. Number one, you can pay off some of your loan, or number two, you can add more collateral. The issue is that if Bitcoin's prices keeps going down, 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 your collateral might all get liquidated, and there's no limit to how much the price of Bitcoin can go down to. If it goes down to $1,000, for example, everybody's probably going to get everything liquidated. But your goal is to make sure you don't get liquidated. So what you can do is, let's say instead of adding more collateral, let's say Bitcoin's price does go to 25K. Let's say it goes to 30K. Or no, sorry. Let's say it goes to, let's say it goes to 30K. Your LTV is at 66.67%, but now you're worried that maybe it'll go to 20K, it'll go to 15K, it'll go to 10K. What you can do is you can actually pay off some of your loan. So let's say you have $10,000 saved. You bring your loan balance from 30,000 to 20,000. Now your LTV is back down to 44.4%. Now Bitcoin's price has to fall to 16K for you to get liquidated. So there, of course, there are a lot of risks with borrowing, but you also have to think of it from the other perspective, right? Where if you don't borrow against your Bitcoin, then you're gonna have to sell it if you want to generate any kind of cash, right? So the benefit with Bitcoin though is that as your Bitcoin goes up in value, so let's say for example, you take that $30,000 loan, Bitcoin 68K, over the next 10 years, let's say Bitcoin rises at 25% per year. One Bitcoin would go from 68,000 to 639,000. At that point, your loan will keep growing. So right now the loan interest rates are at about 11 to 12%. So your loan keeps growing. Your loan goes from 30,000 to 92,000, but your LTV is at 14%. So the way that I look at it, in the legacy financial system, people use real estate to build generational wealth. What they do is they borrow against houses, and then, oh, here it is. They buy a house for, let's say, 500,000. They borrow $400,000. LTV is 80%. Of course, with real estate, they don't market to market, so you're not going to get liquidated. But over time, if you're able to get through all the volatility, if you just hold on to it, your house is going to appreciate in value. So let's say 30 years from now, you buy this house for 500K. 30 years from now, it's worth 2.5 million. The growth on the house was 2 million. So what you can do is your lender is going to let you go back to an 80% LTV. So let's say in the beginning, you borrow 400K, house is worth 500K. That's an 80% LTV. So 400 divided by 500, that's 80% LTV. What your lender will let you do is, as your house appreciates, they'll let you take on a second loan, a third loan, a fourth loan. They'll let you take on HELOCs. They'll let you take on second mortgages. So what you can do is you'll be able to borrow up to 80% again on the same house. So you can see here, at 80% with a $500,000 home value, you can borrow 400,000. But with 80% LTV at a $2.5 million value of your house, you can borrow $2 million. And this is how the wealthy get wealthy. They don't sell their houses, they don't sell their assets to pay for their lifestyle. They borrow against their house, they buy cash flowing assets, and then they use that cash flow to pay for their expenses. I actually have another tab on this one, so you guys can go and download that, check that out. I have another tab on here where you can actually use different strategies to get cash flow as well. So let's say, for example, there's this ETF called the ticker is BTCI. I'm not telling you to buy BTCI. My point here is to change how you think, your mindset. So with BTCI, it gives a $1.13 dividend in it gave a $1.13 dividend in October of 2024, gave $1.41 November of 2024, gave 146 December of 2024. So these yields work out to about 2.2%, 2.3% per year or per month. And the total annual yield is 28%. So technically what you could do is, I mean, over time, I think the industry is going to evolve. It's going to change. Over time, it's going to give you new products that actually are sustainable. Maybe this isn't sustainable. I don't know that for sure. But let's say 10 years from now, there's going to be some better product. Maybe it'll give you a lower yield instead of 28%. Maybe it'll give you 20% by selling covered calls on Bitcoin. There are all different kinds of strategies. Or even, let's say, STRC. Let's say you borrow against your Bitcoin, your interest rate drops from 11.9%. At some point, it'll be like low single digits because Bitcoin is extremely it's almost risk free to lend against because you can sell your Bitcoin at any time. You can sell the collateral at any time. So what you could do is you could borrow against your Bitcoin at, let's say, 4 or 5%, buy, let's say, STRC. Let's say STRC is still paying 12%, 11% interest. And then you can use the proceeds of STRC, the interest payments, to pay for your lifestyle. And I think that's the strategy that a lot of people are probably going to want to follow in the long term. Maybe right now it's not the best strategy, but over time it'll get better and better. And it'll make it easier and easier for people to pay for their lifestyles using Bitcoin. And if you're like I said before, if you're careful with your Bitcoin backed loans, you can't get liquidated. If you make sure that you keep adding collateral or you keep paying off your loans and you make sure that your LTV doesn't even get close to 80%, it's very difficult for you to get liquidated. And I think that's the thing that people should focus on. They should focus on being careful. They should focus on learning about how Bitcoin backed loans work and making sure that they don't have their Bitcoin liquidated.
Fantastic. Cool. That makes a lot of sense. Rajat, so you tell me, man. I got a hard stop in a couple minutes here, but maybe help me land the plane here. So what's the takeaway? I mean, I'm not gonna lie. My favorite all-time strategy still is just dollar cost average, self-custody. I feel like it's by far the safest and easiest and stress-free. And when prices come down like they have, you get to buy more this month type of thing. Yeah. So
Yeah.
do you find again, like I ask these because you have such a massive following. Do you find that a lot of people are also kind of stuck at the, yeah, I get Bitcoin is amazing. I get it's the future of money, but I just can't afford it because I'm broke or I'm spending more than I make, or life is challenging, and so how do I even get my hands on more Bitcoin? Is that a question you tackle or think about or address in your talks?
Oh yeah, regularly. I think just consistency is the key. Just keep buying
Hmm.
what you can, and over time, just increase your income. Right, work on building new skills that'll help you to increase your income. Like for example, um, a few years ago, I never thought that I would be making YouTube videos. Right, that's a
Hmm.
skill that I built. I learned how to edit videos. I learned how to film. Um, it's you have to build skills, and that's how you get paid more, right? If you don't, if you solve more difficult problems, you get paid more because the people who you're solving those problems for are willing to pay you. I think that's the key. But in the meantime, buy what you can, even if you can buy a couple of dollars a month, a couple of dollars a week. That's better than nothing.
Keep buying Bitcoin, people.
That's it.
uh, Rajat, man, once again, thank you so much, man. You're quite an inspiration, and thanks for getting me on the YouTube or back on the YouTube horse. It given me a ton of guidance behind the scenes here, so really appreciate it. And yeah, man, I think you're doing great work, and just keep doing what you're doing.
I
160
appreciate it, man.
people watching. What the hell? That's crazy. That's a lot of
Oh,
people.
that is,
Mostly from your YouTube channel. But yeah, Rajat, thank you so much for your time, man. Should we bring this one to an end?
yeah.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you everyone for checking in. Until next time. Wow.